Good evening, race fans, and welcome to New Hampshire for the Magic Mile 150 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Elite Racing Network on the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. My name is David Westergreen. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Zach Evans. Dave Huckleberry is our producer. Sam Boutwell is on race control. And Zach, our second race of the chase for the Belly Up Cup. New Hampshire, it's a chaotic racetrack. These guys typically like to run over each other on these flat mile-long tracks. Do you anticipate kind of a caution crazy race tonight?
Boy, especially after seeing some of what we saw in practice, I think that's very likely. Just Loudon's always tricky, especially in these next-gen cars. There's lots of different lines to run, but there tends to be not a lot of space to run them when you're in traffic or on these restarts and people decide, oh, I'm going to run this line, and just don't acknowledge the fact that, maybe somebody else around them also wants to run that line, and not a lot of quarter given. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we'll get a nice green flag run. If you get spread out here, then you absolutely can have a nice long green flag run. We could see some pit strategy. We could see all those things we love to see. It tends to fall on one extreme or the other, however.
It sure does, and qualifying is already wrapped up, so we will go ahead and jump to our grid. Our 4D race where pole award winner is Daniel Falkingham. Yet another pole award for a very fast driver who's been leading the points all along. He's flanked by Scott Crump. Blake Reynolds and Matthew Weeks will make up row number 2. Row number 3 in this race will be Jonathan Cutlip, and he'll be flanked by Ryan Gable in the 01 Hux car. Ethan Burrell will start in 7th. Ethan Stanley, last week's winner, will roll from 8th. Daniel Gore will start in 9th for South Shore Racing. In 10th will be Trey Eidson for Shift Esports. In 11th, Jesse Racimus. I believe that's our first non-chase driver. Paul Mikolajczyk will line up alongside him in 12th.
And on the 7th row, we will have Corey Abbott starting 13th. He'll be alongside the former Busch Series champion, Jeff Green. Tate Lytle rolling off from the 15th position alongside Britt Jones on the 8th row. Ryan Borges qualifying in the 17th position. He'll start alongside Gavin Higgins. On the 10th row, Michael Hossack will start in 19th. He'll be alongside Jared Rexing. And then we go to the 11th row. Gavin Hibbs will line up 21st. A new look and a great look, I might add, for Jaden Racimus this week. He'll be on the 11th row. Gerald Campbell and Josh Shin will make up the 12th row in the grid.
McIntosh will start in 25th for row 13. He'll be flanked by Andrew Rucker in 26th. Johnny Thomas makes his return to the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. He's flanked by his Little Eagle Racing teammate Chad Frankenfield in 28th. Justin Vandermarl will start in 29th. Gilberto Javier Gomero will roll from 30th. 31st will be Garrison Hogan, one of our chase drivers for starting way back in the field. He'll be flanked by Kurt Gibson in 32nd. 33rd will be Nigel Stock, the rookie driver, and 34th will be Carlos Acosta. 35th is Mark Rebelos. 36th, Rob Mooney. Definitely a battle back there at 35th for a potential charter spot next season. Trey Holmes will start 37th on the grid. Michael Goodman will roll from 38th. Ray Bracey starting in parking tonight under the weather, not feeling well. He'll be flanked by Harrison Talon in 40th. Caleb Pecumer, registered for the race, has internet troubles. He will not be starting this race from 41st. Pace car is off.
Oh.
Yep. And we are going green. It all happened very quickly. Daniel Falkingham is off to the race lead. We are racing here in the Magic Mile 150. Everything happens fast around New Hampshire, just like Blake Reynolds to the apron, looking for the lead in turn 2. He will not get it. Falkingham to the race lead. Crump files into second, and they go single file for the first 3 spots off turn 2, 3 wide in the middle of the field. That's where I think some of that action may take place.
Already see all that, kind of what I talk about. There's so many different lines right now, 2-3 wide racing throughout the pack, but all it takes is one person washing up off that apron, or somebody assuming somebody's got to run the apron and they don't, and that's when trouble happens. Also, you saw right there Blake Reynolds coming very close on this rescanned or updated New Hampshire Motor Speedway on iRacing. There's not as much racing room on the inside.
Garrison Hogan just spun on the back straightaway. He was fishtailing. I don't know what happened to that car. He is slow, lost a ton of spots. It maybe was more of a half spin for Garrison Hogan, but he falls from 29th all the way back to the rear of the field.
Yeah, that's a really weird one.
I don't know if maybe that was a calculated decision to get out of the pack that he was in or what, but Garrison Hogan now well off the back of the field in the, looks like the 40th position, 39th rather. He's just in front of Ray Bracey, who's going to pull that car into the pits. Battle here between Ryan Gable and Ethan Burrell, well behind Daniel Falkingham, Scott Crump, Blake Reynolds, Matthew Weeks, and Jonathan Cutlip. The first battle on the racetrack, and they're still 3 wide in the midfield, Zach. That's about where I'm expecting that trouble to break out. Tate Lytle's been running the apron for the better part of 6 or 7 laps at this point, and it's not working. Rather, 6 or 7 corners.
Oh.
Gerald Campbell.
Yeah. That's not what you want to see. He went on the apron, but then it washed up 2 or 3 lanes, and he was lucky to be clear of the guys he was around, or otherwise that would have been our first caution very easily.
Looks like you can do the apron strategy at the beginning of the run, but I think as those tires heat up, it's going to get real difficult to hold the car down and carry that much speed on the apron. You saw Chad Frankenfield's car come off the apron there. Gerald's come off the apron as well. I think it's going to be less and less of a viable strategy as this run goes along. We're now 6 laps. Oh, Jaden Racimus breaks loose in front of Chad Frankenfield. That's the crash and the first caution of the day. Racimus got loose coming off turn 4 and got hooked by Chad Frankenfield. I think that one's going to be on the 1 car, and a beautiful scheme has been crashed here on the front stretch.
Again, there, look here on the Rebel, or nope, it's not the Rebelist Photography Replay Machine. That's the first time I've done that this season. I'm proud of myself. But yeah, it looks like you had it absolutely read, David. It looks like Jaden Racimus just got a little bit of wheel spin there on corner exit, lit up that right rear a little bit, got loose. Chad Frankenfield absolutely nowhere to go. He tags the 1 car, sends him into the inside wall, and that brings out our first caution of the evening.
Yep, and unfortunate for Jaden Racimus. Car obviously looks awesome. We will take this opportunity to jump to our full screen commercial breaks and get those in before the action really commences here at New Hampshire. So you're watching the Magic Mile 150 on the Elite Racing Network.
Tickets are on sale now for the 5th Detroit, Illinois 300 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. September 11th through 13th brings a full weekend of action with the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and St. Louis's biggest music festival, Confluence. The stars shine on and off the track, and your ticket gets you everything: cars, concerts, camping, food, and fun. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now and save big at WWTRaceway.com.
If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade, that time is now. Score up to $4,000 off on a 26 brand new Ford Explorer. And our Ford Explorers come with the Bolin Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. So get to Tom Bolin Ford in Hannibal. Heck of a deal, ain't it?
Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. So don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
The Lucas Oil School of Racing. Simply stated, we are the professional ranks where the quality of the equipment often dictates the outcomes, and all of our cars are designed to perform and race as close as humanly possible. None of our competitors will have an advantage from engineering tactics. Rather, you will compete on a completely level field with a score of immensely talented up-and-coming drivers, all pushing each other to reach their new heights in their respective pursuit in becoming a professional race car driver. Every year, our top-performing graduates move on to the professional racing ladders of IndyCar, F1, and IMSA. Whether drivers compete in 1 or 2 seasons of our series, when they are ready to move on, they are ready to move. The training you receive in our school is an unmatched, unforgettable first-class education combining the very best racing instruction and education.
Pace car is off. Green flag is back out here at New Hampshire in the Magic Mile 150, and Daniel Falkingham with a much stronger restart this time clears past Scott Crump. Blake Reynolds trying to do the same as they head towards turn 2. Another restart here at New Hampshire, and more cars on that apron trying to get every spot they can. 2 and 3 wide already as we head towards turn 3. Quick note, it did flash up right before we went to commercial. Jade Racines did receive fault for that tally on the first caution flag of the race. There's the second one.
I do not have eyes on this one. Oh, Dave does. There's Mark Rabillis turned around on the front stretch. And Chad Frankenfield has a meatball. So I'm going to assume he was involved in some capacity.
Left front tire is completely destroyed on this 15 car. Let's see. It looks like he's tracking up towards the 96, 99.
Yeah.
He's going to looks to me like get a piece of Mark Rebelos and spin him out, and it's going to drag this 15 directly into the inside wall.
And right on the left front corner. So that's where the meatball would be. That's almost certainly a broken toe link.
The whole left front tire is no longer.
You can see the car
spinning.
bouncing. Yeah, even from this aerial cam, you could see. We'll be interested to see the race control call on this one because there's definitely 2 schools of thought on it. Geographically speaking, the 15 car was that tire. Yeah, that's not healthy.
Nope.
Yep, and I just heard the call 99 to tally. That's what I was gonna say. Obviously, Chad is working up the track, but at some point the 99 has to open up the steering for corner exit. So I would have been okay with racing instant. I would have been okay with tally 15. I would be okay with tally 99. I don't have a strong feeling about that one, but it's definitely 2 guys who probably could have worked together to avoid that outcome.
Yeah, in my general school of thought, and I always talk about it, is if you kind of feel like both guys could be at fault, it's probably just a racing deal. But but it's tough to see from the direct overhead shot because the direct overhead shot, it looks like Chad comes up into him, but we're also not looking at it from the shot of New Hampshire, right, where you have to come up off the corner and untighten the wheel. You got the wheel cranked to the left to make the corner. Chad's on the apron here. Mark's gonna, I think, drive down a little off this corner, but he has two lanes up to the wall and kind of doesn't go up there.
Well, I will also say if he's looking in his mirror, he's got both the 55 and the 44 with a head of steam behind him looking to his outside. I'm sure that played a factor in him not working up the hill as well. So there's a lot going on here, and we probably could have all. If anybody does one thing different, this wreck doesn't happen. But unfortunately, this was the outcome we had, and that's kind of what we touched on in the intro, right? It's just that's how these races at New Hampshire tend to play out.
Yep. And then what happens now is we've had 2 quick cautions. We've run maybe 5 or 6 laps under green flag conditions, and then you see guys get a little antsy, a little aggressive, a little impatient, and start making moves that are less and less likely to stick. And that's where the kind of cautions breed cautions comes into factor, and we just get a yellow after yellow, and this race kind of turns into a more of a miserable pacing performance, and the pace car wins the race, right? So hopefully we can stretch this field out and get these guys going. Obviously, we're going to award stage points at lap 60.
If we ever get there.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Yeah, we need to get sorted out here under a restart, and not crash for 35th is probably the best way to do that. Daniel Falkingham leading the field towards the restart zone. He's led every one of our 14 laps so far. Green flag is out. Great jump for the 2 on the bottom of the racetrack, but for Falkingham and Reynolds. Reynolds clears Scott Crump, takes that kind of teammate style jump, restart, moves up in front of the 90, gets a big time diamond on the corner, and he moves into second. Crump back to third. Weeks and Gable are now side by side for the 4th spot. Ryan Gable driving deep into turn number 3. might be able to clear, and does for that 4th spot. Behind him, Josh Chin, Tate Lytle, Jesse Racimus 3 wide for just about 11th and 12th. Chin's going to make away with that spot. As we shift further back in the field, yeah, Josh Chin still battling Paul Mikolajczyk, his teammate there, just behind Daniel Gore. You've got Trey Eidson making moves up into the top 10. He's going around Ethan Burrell. Oh, 3 wide. 3 wide for 5th spot. It's Gable, Stanley, Cutlip. Gable in the middle, trying to hold off the 5 car. A little bit of contact, door-to-door banging. They did not put Ryan Gable in a particularly good spot there. And he does clear in front of Jonathan Cutlip. Cutlip giving him a little bit of a bumper. Shows some displeasure this tight off turn 2.
Well, he doesn't need to be displeasured with Ryan Gable. What was Ryan supposed to do?
Right. Yeah, Ryan got sent 3 wide by the 91 car and had nowhere to go. Ethan Burrell now inside of Cutlip. Trey Eidson's going to maybe make the pass stick on Ryan Gable. They're still side by side there. That is for the battle for 6th. Eidson working the inside of the racetrack. Gable up in the middle lane. Then Burrell, Cutlip, Chin, and Gore. That's that battle for 10th between Daniel Gore and Josh Chin. Give it to Josh Chin, the Channel 199, number 93.
Touched on it in the starting grid, David, but I mean, you can see it on the pylon as well. Top 10 all chase competitors right now, and that's going to add to the pressure as well, because if you're looking at those point standings, you're not going to, you're going to need something to change to make up a lot of points on anybody right now tonight.
And Gavin Hibbs is one of our top points getters this season, has the highest average finish of anybody in the league right now, but he's in 14th at a 21st place qualifying effort. That's just not going to be enough to get up here and challenge these guys for the championship. And Hibbs is one of our, favorites. He's been at the top of the field every single week, but he's having to fight up towards the front from the middle of the pack right now, going after Paul Mikolajczyk. But I mean, he's so far back. He's got so many of his points competitors to pass. It's going to make this race very difficult for that 95 car. You can see it. Everybody's very even up here towards the front. Daniel Falkingham and Blake Reynolds are 0.2 of a second apart. You've got this whole group led by Ethan Stanley. Really, it's led by Matthew Weeks all the way back. I mean, that's nine or 10 guys, all chase drivers and under a blanket right here. Very difficult to pass in this next-gen car at New Hampshire. These guys are shifting every lap, I believe, going from 4th gear to 3rd gear was what I heard. And that's going to make...
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to make things rather equal between these competitors. That's kind of the downfall of this type of car. It's going to be real difficult to make moves, even though we do have that increased horsepower. It's just not going to make a difference when everybody's so even, making the same shifting techniques happen lap after lap.
Yeah, I think the only thing we might see, especially now that we are getting some green flag racing, is maybe that tire wear will come in that we've heard a little bit of conversation about with this package, and that might open up some movement through the pack. But I think right now it's rather procedural.
And what this will do, right? This single file train run, it's good. It's good for us to click off some laps. It's good for us to get this racing under our belts. But when we do get that yellow flag, these guys are going to know you're only really going to be able to make up spots in those restarts. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be more aggressive on those restarts, and we'll be later in the race once we finally get to that next restart, and that's when the trouble will start to brew. So
car in the wall.
It was Ryan Gable. Gable and Eidson are running different lanes in turn 2.
No, Jeff.
It wasn't even that one.
Jeff Green was stopped against the wall and now is rolling down the backstretch. Did not see how he got there. He seems to believe he was not given enough room on the racing surface.
That's even before this.
He is conversing with Ty McIntosh. That's not the first time those two have exchanged pleasantries. I didn't see a whole lot Ty did wrong there on the first look.
Yeah, I need to see a different angle. I think that's probably our best bet, but no change at the front of the field while we take a look at the incident between Ty and Jeff Green. And I mean, yeah, I don't really see anything. It looks like a little contact between guys getting sideways, and then you've got to deal with the netcode factor of iRacing, where I think it squirrels up Jeff's car a lot more than that type of contact would have squirreled up a race car. I mean, they don't even really touching, but it knocks Jeff's car so completely sideways. Yeah, I feel bad for Jeff Green. I don't think that I don't think that he was placed in a spot that I don't think there was anything he really could have done differently, and I don't really think Ty could have done anything differently there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think they were probably just a slight bit off sync with where they were going to turn in for the corner, and that combined with a little bit of a unpredictable outcome punished Jeff Green more than it probably would have been if that happened in real life.
Right. I mean, that should have been just a little rub and move on. Right. And I don't believe that should have resulted in the contact it did, but such is racing online, I suppose. It's kind of the risk we always put on.
You'll never resolve that. It could always improve for sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a minor miracle that you get 40-some people to actually race each other on a computer, and the cars aren't just bouncing all over the. I mean, you remember playing on NASCAR Thunder 2004 in the dial-up days. Oh, well, you like to be able to see the race car then. We are having this. This has been a recurring issue with that purple 93 throughout the course of the season.
It's every series for Josh Chin too. It cars was in and out a little bit last night at Darlington in the Bat Flip Podcast 2003 series. As Tate Lytle making the pass on Ethan Burrell, that was for a stage point, and that was the first driver not in the playoffs to make a move here. So Tate Lytle, the furthest forward of any of our non-chasers here tonight, and he qualified back in 15th. He's all the way up to the 10th spot. Josh Chin qualified 24th. He is rocketed up the field, up to 7th right now, or 8th rather.
And you mentioned Tate Lytle working his way forward. Obviously, this car, I don't have to explain this to anyone, dramatically different from what you were racing last night at Darlington in the 2003 Cup Series. But I feel like if there's ever a combination that would favor somebody who does well in that 2003 series, like a Tate Lytle, it would be this flat track racing we're doing here.
Right. He's done well at New Hampshire before. If I recall, didn't he get wrecked and come back and finish in the top 5? I think he got flipped over, came back and finished in the top 5. Yeah. A couple of seasons ago, the last time I think we were at this New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So, Tate Lytle, very successful in this series, very successful driver in general, and certainly well within his arsenal to put together a good race tonight.
So that was 24B. We also came here in 25A. He was 16th in that race, which was won by R.C. Enerson, who is not here this evening, of course.
Gerald Campbell is he overdrove deep into turn 1, just about spun out Daniel Gore, and then lost a spot to Gavin Hibbs. That was a near moment there. We've got Ethan Stanley, Josh Chin trying to move forward. Trey Eidson is all the way up to 5th right here, but this battle reaches from 5th all the way back to the outside the top 10. Daniel Gore looking inside of Ryan Gable. He thinks better of it into turn 1. Gavin Hibbs tries to kind of block, but Gerald Campbell is really sending the 31 car into turn 1. And that's the kind of move that it works if you can clear. But yeah, this is what happens.
And he's going to hit the inside wall, and that's not going to bring out a yellow. He's off the racing surface.
Yep. Gerald sent it a little too deep there, I think. That was quite aggressive. They're 3 wide for that same battle spot up ahead. Both Gore and Hibbs bypass Gable, but yeah, Gerald Campbell got loose after driving it in real deep into turn 1, tried to get on the gas just a little too much and spun out that 31 car. Gore will hold off Gavin Hibbs in that battle for the 11th spot. Both of these guys, really also Ryan Gable as well, need to get up there and try to challenge Ethan Burrell for that stage point.
If Gerald can be said to be fortunate, is that he was able to turn that car around enough to kind of back into the wall rather than the initial angle of approach. He was going to nose in with that left front, and that would have been much more significant damage for that 31 car.
Yeah, it was real possible Gerald was going to have a big-time wreck there. Tate Lytle working inside of Ethan Stanley. Jonathan Cutlip to the outside of Trey Eidson, just to the bottom of your screen as well. Two different battles inside the top 10. Eidson will clear past Cutlip. Almost got a really big run on the apron there to be able to go after Matthew Weeks. You know, you've seen a lot of that apron work as Tate Lytle uses the apron drive inside of and bypass Ethan Stanley for the 8th position. I mean, Zach, I've used the apron to great success before, but it was with a big time tire advantage and on very new tires. These guys are starting to use that apron to turn better, 30 laps into the run.
Yeah. And I'll be, full disclosure, I haven't turned enough laps in this car with this package to have much in the way of experience with that, but I'm a huge fan in other forms, in other cars and other platforms on a track like this.
Oh, Jesse Ursemus around and hard into the inside wall. He's coming back up the track.
Oh, no, he's coming back.
This is gonna be the yellow flag. Everybody snaking to the inside to avoid the 80 car, and the driver who qualified 11th, the top of our non-playoff drivers, has crashed out of turn 2. He hit the wall, Zach, exactly like you described that Gerald might have hit the wall. And it looked like a real similar incident.
Oh, and it starts with Ryan Gable. Ryan Gable gets into the wall in front of him. So then Jesse Racimus is going to wash up into Gable as he's bouncing off the wall. That turns 80 car exactly like you were, like we were talking about, left front into the wall, and then, he's got the brakes locked up, but momentum is still going to do its thing. That shoves him up into the racing surface, bringing out the caution.
Yeah, tough one for race control Sam Boutwell here as everybody heads for pit lane to get 4 fresh tires. Because, it's one of those things where 2 cars come together off the corner. Yeah, Corey Abbott. We might need to go on board with the old 21 car here and watch Corey and see what he saw. Because, there's just a car perpendicular on the exit of the corner, and this is kind of a blind corner on the exit. There's see that inside wall there. He's not seeing that incident, and here it is. And Jesse's coming up the track, but you just got to stay in the gas and hope and pray.
If he had lifted at all, that might have been the difference between, which is so counterintuitive. Normally it's like you think, okay, there's trouble, I need to lift. Well, most reasonable drivers do. Some people don't seem to believe in that, but that's neither here nor there. But in that instance, you kind of have to react and see what's happening and say, I've got to get away from, I have to get through this hole before it closes. I've got to gas up, which can be tough to do if you've trained yourself to be a responsible driver in these situations.
Right. It's certainly a situation for sure. They're coming off turn 2. Daniel Falkingham retains the lead. Scott Crump able to leapfrog Blake Reynolds for the 2nd position. After pit stops, Matthew Weeks 3rd, Trey Eidson 4th. Or rather, Matthew Weeks 4th, Trey Eidson 5th. Then it's Jonathan Cutlip, Josh Chin, Ethan Stanley, Tate Lytle, and Ethan Burrell after pit stops. Lap 41 of 150. The stage at lap 60 will be the determining factor for those points given out to the top 10. You've got stage drivers running 11th and 12th with Daniel Gore and Ryan Gable. That should make things real interesting at the back end of this top 10. Those guys need to be aggressive for these stage points, and there's the call. It is Ryan Gable that generates the tally for winding up causing that caution. So, Daniel Falkingham and Blake Reynolds got a really good restart last time. Using that inside line, they will do so again, but Reynolds does not get the same jump Falkingham gave him last time. This time it's all Daniel Falkingham with Scott Crump able to hold Blake Reynolds off. Reynolds working to the inside of that 90 car. but to no avail. Crumple hold, and there we got a yellow flag early in the run here. I didn't see any cars around. We're seeing some black flags get cleared. I wonder if something happened right at the restart. Perhaps with Michael Goodman, Johnny Thomas.
Gerald Campbell just apologized for something.
Might be the one. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
And he straightened it out, which is why we never saw anyone around. There you go.
There you go.
It all makes sense now as Gerald gets loose. And I have to assume, right, getting the rear quarter panel of that car crunched in on the back straightaway wall is probably not adding to the downforce being provided on corner entry for Gerald Campbell.
Probably safe to say.
So, yeah. While we work this fourth caution, don't have a whole lot of replay to show you. Why don't we go and finish giving off our ad breaks, and we'll be back with the conclusion of stage one.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. So don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
Welcome back to the Magic Mile 150, fourth caution flag of the race. Wrapping up right now, Daniel Falkingham still with the race lead, Scott Crump second, Blake Reynolds third, Matthew Weeks fourth. Back into the restart zone, we are racing once again, and again Falkingham with a good jump kind of leaves Blake Reynolds to fight with Scott Crump. And this time Reynolds will be alongside that 90 car, and he really likes to drive it in, so too does Trey Eidson, but that outside line very strong on corner exit of turn 2. Crump able to clear, so too Matthew Weeks over Eidson. We've seen both the outside and inside line be successful on these early run laps. The outside line able to kind of hold that momentum. Inside line, you're able to dive it in so deep you can kind of clear somebody, get up in front of them, and let you get in, wash up, give them some dirty air, and keep that spot. Battle for 10th as Ethan Burrow got a little squirrely coming out of turn 2. It's Tate Lytle and Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs using that outside lane. Lytle on the bottom of the racetrack. They're just in front of Daniel Gore and Ryan Gavel. Trey Eidson and Jonathan Cutlip have been fighting lap after lap for maybe the last 20. I mean, those two have been completely inseparable. Finally, Cutlip's going to be able to clear past Eidson, but he's still to the inside of Josh Chin here. Burrell and Stanley still side by side. Hibbs clears by Lytle.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from anyone. Contact! Daniel Gore's going around.
That might have been
Petch, who got it. Oh, no!
Carlos got a big piece of gore.
How did that happen?
Oh man, and Daniel Gore's car is now destroyed.
Yeah,
Wasn't before. It looks like it's going to be Ryan. It's going to be Ryan Borges that's going to get a piece of Daniel Gore here.
Yeah.
And that has been the story of the 69 car season. Yeah, Carlos was out of control, but well before ever getting to the 69 as well. I don't know if he may have gotten some help or maybe just got on the binders a little too much. Yeah, just wiggly under braking and it hooks right into Daniel. Story of Daniel Gore's season, though. I mean, he got wrecked a couple of different times this year, and Richmond, I recall, Dover, he got wrecked. He's had a podium finish, a couple of top fives at the road courses, but the rest of the season's looked a lot more like that.
Then you look on that 69 car tonight. But very similar outcome, like you say, to what we've seen a few times this season for Daniel Gore.
Freshly painted by Ray Bracey, painter extraordinaire. Paints all of the South Shore cars. Painted the 02 car as well, the one that clobbered into Daniel Gore's South Shore Ford there. So, just a shame. A couple of beautiful cars getting together like that, and it's been a tough run here tonight.
That's
still not sure. I'm still not sure what this shows. David sent me a picture of this earlier today, and I was.
Ray Bracey is not 27th. I know that much.
Yeah. Daniel Gore is no longer 12th
either.
Yep. Ty McIntosh is not in the top 10 either, though he is having a decent run, being the one of the two remaining South Shore cars. Ryan Borges does get called for the tally there.
Yeah.
Jeff Green receives the lucky dog. I'm not sure how. He's 13 laps down. Trey Holmes probably should have gotten the lucky dog. Don't know if he maybe got contact with Carlos Acosta there, or maybe went off the racing surface trying to avoid. I don't know. Either way, Jeff Green's the one who gets the lap back and not either of the guys who was one lap down. They might have made contact slowing up for the rack here. Yep. That's why.
I will keep a thought to myself.
So Jeff Green gets the lap back. Borges gets the tally. Daniel Falkingham is the race leader. Scott Crump runs second. Reynolds third. Weeks fourth, just like the last several restarts. Let's see if the bottom lane gets that same strong restart. Green flag out once again. Falkingham kind of stacks up that outside lane a little bit more this time. Allows Reynolds to get a better run. Clear past Scott Crump for the second spot. Cutlip inside of Crump for third. Strongest restart for Jonathan Cutlip so far. He washes up the racetrack a little bit. Trey Eidson is inside that 5 car. They're 3 wide for fourth.
That was almost 4 wide between Cutlip and Crump and what's that? Is that engine smoke? No.
It looked yes, Daniel Falkingham blew it up.
He must have
shifted down.
shifted. Yeah.
He shifted down. Daniel Falkingham from the race lead, potentially the points lead, has blown it up on the back straightaway at New Hampshire. Trey Eidson is now into second. Oh my goodness, what a season-changing event. Oh, Cutlip sideways off 2. He saved it, but almost stacked it up. Now everybody's sneaking by. Cutlip all the way out of the stage points here. A huge shift. Eidson up the racetrack. Crump in for second. This race has gone completely haywire before the end of stage 1.
And the crazy thing is, we've talked about the shifting. I don't think we would have expected, even with all that shifting, to see that kind of issue, especially from somebody of the caliber of Daniel Falkingham.
Unbelievable. The guy who led every single one of our 50 laps is no longer leading. It's Blake Reynolds out in front of Scott Crump. Trey Eidson now third. Matthew Weeks is still fourth. And then Ethan Burrell, Gavin Hibbs, and Ethan Stanley fighting it out for fifth. unbelievable. Daniel Gore is also retired from the event with too much damage. Two different chase drivers having major issues right back to back.
And of
Really
course, that's particularly frustrating for Daniel Gore because, like, the initial incident, yeah, it's frustrating to get sent to the rear, but there would have been no damage to that 69 car. It was the secondary contact that has completely ended his night, as we see a big sin there from the 24, Michael Hosack there on Ryan Borges.
Big battle in the middle of the field here from Borges on back. That looks like it's about 12th on back. Michael Hosack's up in 13th right now. You've got, Corey Abbott, Ty McIntosh, Garrison Hogan, Gavin Higgins, Paul Mikolajczyk, Jared Rexing, all fighting it out for the middle teens of this race. Battle inside the top 10 between Ethan Stanley and Ethan Burrell. This one's been going on for a while. In front of Gavin Hibbs, Josh Chin, Jonathan Cutlip gets back into 9th. Around Tate Lytle, recovering what little he can as we approach the end of stage 1. My goodness.
Sounds like Andrew Rucker is considering parking it for the evening.
He will do so. That'll benefit the remaining drivers hoping for an extra charter berth next season. Rucker was one of the ones maybe fighting for it. So Ethan Stanley clears past Ethan Burrell for the 5th spot here. Burrell still fighting back on the outside. This battle has been raging on for quite some time. Just behind Matthew Weeks. It is Blake Reynolds, Scott Crump, Trey Eidson here with 1 to go in this first stage. Stanley a little loose and wiggly off turn 2. Burrell looking back to the inside. He will not have enough. Scott Crump is inside of Blake Reynolds for the stage win. Crump working to the inside of the 66. They are going to come off turn 4 with a photo finish at the line. Stage 1 winner is Scott Crump.
By 0.005 of a second.
He gave it right back to Blake Reynolds right there. Crump made the run, jumped back out of it, and now he's actually going back for the race lead. But Scott Crump didn't lead a single one of those first 60 laps until lap 60. Picks up a stage win. That's huge for Scott Crump in the points.
Absolutely. And of course, we talk all the time about Scott Crump and how good he is at Richmond Raceway. I'm sure a lot of that translates here to running around the Magic Mile of New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yep. Scott is using that apron. He's really trying to grab the race lead away from Blake Reynolds. He will do so here. Reynolds going to cut back underneath Scott Crump. Oh, almost a little bit of contact between the two race leaders. Reynolds gets the lead back. I think Crump will have to settle back in line here. But a really good job by Scott Crump to maximize what has been a really good result so far. And he did that last week too, right? I mean, Crump's not a big-time road course racer by any means, but was able to lead a lap last week, have a really solid finish, maximize the points, mitigate the damage done by a lot of his competitors having good top 5 runs at Watkins Glen. And now it kind of becomes his opportunity, right? It's this track, a flat track. It's a plate track next week. 1.5 tracks the rest of the way. Like, Scott Crump is by no means out of the playoffs if he can put together a really solid run tonight.
Well, definitely. It's still, especially with some of what we've already seen tonight, wide open for some drivers to make some moves up the standings. We'll see how it plays out, but definitely a good run going right now for Scott Crump.
Right, and obviously I say playoffs. I mean, the chase, and that's what I like about it too, right?
We're trying to break, yes.
Yep. But I like this, right? Because it's going to be a full body of work for Scott Crump,
yes.
Right? And that's, I mentioned that Gavin Hibbs has the current highest average finish of anybody in the series right now. You would think Daniel Falkingham with the 3 wins, Blake Reynolds with the 3 wins, like those guys have had really good runs, but they've also been pretty inconsistent. Their bad races are really bad, right? And like this race right here for Daniel Falkingham, this is a bad race. It's going to be a really bad finish. It's going to really harm his opportunity to win this chase. But what's he going to have to do? He's going to have to go out and win races the next couple of weeks, right? He's going to have to go back and get into it if he wants to challenge Blake Reynolds' stranglehold on this series.
And you look back also at last week for Daniel Falkingham. I mean, incredible that he managed the finish he did by not being on the grid at the start of the race, basically giving the field a 1-lap head start. But really, I mean, we've seen that a few times this season where, starting and parking or showing up late or whatever the case may be has cost Daniel Falkingham some points along the way, and now you've added a race where he absolutely had a chance to score a huge number. Oh, contact again here. That's not what you want to see.
Caution's out.
That's brought out the caution. It's going to be the 2 car, which is that's probably going to be based on past incidents. I have to believe this will be the last time we've seen Jeff Green for a week or 2.
Yeah.
So I hadn't said anything when it happened initially, but when Jeff Green got the wave around, the free pass that you discussed him getting instead of Trey Holmes, he made sure to door the 10 car on the way by, which I was really surprised iRacing didn't just yank the free pass right then and there for car contact. He still got the free pass and then used that privilege to do whatever this is. And so that's got to bring out a caution. Race control's got frowned upon that. Race administration's got frowned upon that. It's not going to be good news for Jeff Green, I'm afraid.
He has been disqualified from the event. And we talked about the contact initially, and I think part of that is everybody heads down pit lane here at the end of lap 69. A lot of that is, in the car, right? He knows who got into him. But we went back and looked at that contact, that was very much incidental contact without malice or intent on the part of Ty McIntosh. Very much just racing contact. And had Jeff been running one of his 2000 Busch Series cars, I think he would have had no issues keeping that car corralled and in one piece. Unfortunately, he got loose. It wiped out his race, but then you got to keep your head after the fact. And what a shame. Let's interview Daniel Gore, who is another one who had just a terrible night. I moved him to the wrong chat. Daniel Gore with us now, and Danny G, man, you were right outside the top 10, looking to have a really strong run tonight, and it all got kind of taken away from you. Take us through
it. Nothing really new, to be honest. It seems every time I have a decent run, this is kind of how it goes, unless it's a road course. So.
Yeah, road course or dirt. That seems to be the only way to get you to get a good finish here.
I just did some practice on Monday because I didn't really get time to do it today, and I felt good on Monday. Went to practice today, still felt really good. Lacked a little bit on the short run, but had some decent medium to long run speed, and once again, never really got to show it off to the end, so that sucks, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like that all season. I think we had mentioned it, and his new paint scheme, kind of same results. So unfortunate for you, but any shout outs before we send you off tonight?
Just you guys, anyone who sponsors can. He spots me every week, and my girlfriend, that's it.
All right, well, tough to see Danny G, but hopefully we'll see you rebound next week at Talladega.
Yep.
Daniel Gore, driver of the number 69 South Shore Racing Ford. Up front, big change. Scott Crump sped on pit road. He's back in 28th now in that 90 car, the stage 1 winner. Going to have to climb his way back to the front. Trey Eidson is up into second, chasing Blake Reynolds. New challenger to the top 3 is Ethan Stanley in that 91, last week's winner. He's working on Trey Eidson for that second spot. It's amazing, Zach, just when you think
sorry, Ryan Gable got a little snug there on corner entry, washed up the hill, opened the door for Paul Mikolajczyk to cut underneath him. Fortunately, Paul was able to cut underneath him instead of driving straight into the back of Ryan Gable there.
Yeah, we talked about Scott Crump at the beginning, when he won the stage, right? Having a good points night, the potential to have, a really good night, and he's going to have to fight back. He's going to have to fight for the good points night right now. This is not a good spot. Oh, Gavin Higgins, Michael Hosak, Garrison Hogan all bouncing off each other. Johnny Thomas bouncing off of Ty McIntosh. They're 2 and 3 wide all the way through the field. You have to be so aggressive on these restarts. Oh, Gilberto goes around. Hosak in the wall as well. Caution is out. No, it wasn't Hosak. And they pile it up. Mooney, Acosta, Michael Goodman all getting into Gilberto sideways perpendicular to the field on the front straightaway. There's another car involved up in the front of Gilberto here, but this was the initial contact. Maybe he catches Brent Jones on the way by. That's what that's the first car.
What happened. Yep.
Yeah. Brent's car look a little like Michael Hosak's these days. Michael Goodman into the side, and it looks like Carlos and Rob had already gotten together. So that incident, I think, occurred before.
Yeah, it looks like maybe we'll have to get. Yep, that's exactly. It looks like
Moon's not on the binders nearly as. You could see the tire smoke on the 84. He was locked up, so that car was going to continue to travel at the same speed because the front tires were both locked and sliding, and he was not slowing down. It's a big brake pedal, but it's one of them. The big brake pedal only works if the tires are able to roll. If they lock, it doesn't work at all.
No.
And that's what Rob Mooney just discovered. Brent Jones has some left front damage. 89 car is hurt. And then
hey, we're Gilberto,
Goody, Acosta, and Mooney, the cars involved. And yes, we are halfway in the race. 7 cautions. Not quite as bad as I was expecting. We've had a couple of green flag runs, but for the most part, I mean, this is just kind of the recipe for New Hampshire, right? It's a lot of take, not a lot of give. And you discover that real early on when a couple of cautions come out, and then the green flag run hits, you can't pass. And you have to make up all your time on the restarts because another caution is going to come out, and those aggressive moves kind of snowball into more and more aggressive moves. And in this one, it's Gilberto getting loose coming off turn 4 and causing the caution there.
As we expected, Gilberto Javier Gamera receiving the tally for that incident. Trey Holmes getting the free pass.
Yep.
So he'll make that up from earlier.
Yeah, finally gets it after the contact with Gerald. Gerald also has gotten back on the lead lap. He got back on the lead lap under the last caution flag, and both of those guys trying to fix damage from earlier incidents. Yeah, and this isn't very much going to be an attrition race, especially with guys like Daniel Falkingham, Daniel Gore out of the event. You're going to have quite a few, I think, more incidents, especially towards the front, and there may be some opportunity for guys to keep the car clean and try and salvage a good day here. So if the car still runs, by no means don't get out of it yet, right? You could still have a good day.
I mean, going back to, you mentioned it already a couple of years ago when we saw Tate Lytle come back from being upside down to finish in top 5. That started with literally the car did not get back on its wheels. He lost a lap or two getting towed to the pits and had to make that up before he could worry about finishing at a top 5. But indeed, he was able to do that. And I think that's, to your point, some of these guys are getting free passes right now, or maybe later on could be right in the mix later on.
Yep. Green flag is back out. Blake Reynolds with another really strong jump, able to pull his Channel 199 teammate Ethan Stanley forward to battle alongside Trey Eidson. As we work into lap 78 of stage 2, Eidson to the top, Stanley to the bottom. Matthew Weeks clears his teammate Ethan Burrell for the 4th position. It's Burrell and Cutlip side by side behind Weeks. 2 by 2 all the way back. New names entering the top 10, Paul Mikulicek, Gavin Higgins. And guess who Gavin Higgins is side by side with, Zach? You'll never guess.
Is it Gavin Hibbs?
It is, yes. It's exactly it. Look at them. They're right next to each other.
They do it to you every week.
It's on purpose, I swear.
It's in the script. I saw it.
Ethan Stanley and Trey Eidson, while side by side, have run down Blake Reynolds for the race lead, so that's starting to heat up. Ethan Stanley with a good run exiting turn 4. He will be able to clear Trey Eidson. Moved last week's winner Ethan Stanley back up to second and challenging for the race lead at a racetrack he has won at before. Would be pretty poetic for Ethan Stanley to be able to go out and try and capture a win on the day that he announces he will not be returning to the Belly Up Sports Cup Series in a full-time capacity next season.
And that was, I don't know about you, but that was shocking news to me when we found that out today. David, seems like we're going to have quite a bit of shakeup, and it's really opened up that charter conversation that we really haven't had a chance to talk about much tonight with all the attrition. But we've got a lot of guys that will be not coming back, have already announced their intentions to return their charters, and that's secured some guys that we've been talking about as being on the charter bubble, guys like Ty McIntosh and Gilberto Javier Gamera, Carlos Acosta, their situation much more secure than it was when we last spoke to our viewing audience 1 week ago. And it's opened the door for some guys that we really haven't been talking about to maybe pick up those charters. Guys like Rob Mooney, who is here tonight, or Andrew Rucker, or maybe some other guys. So obviously we'll see how that develops over the upcoming races. Very different from the playoff conversation, but some points on the line for those guys that mean a whole lot as we wrap up the season.
Yeah, and as next week's Talladega, right? You think forward, the biggest benefit to having a charter, besides being locked in when we have a big field, and I think the B season field usually a little bit less crowded. Some guys take a season off there in the B season typically, but the A season is very crowded. Having that charter is so vital because you get into that Daytona 500. You can set up your season with either a good race or even just the presence at a race that requires a qualifying, single car qualifying, and then a dual race. It's hard to get into. Yeah. You want to be in that Daytona 500 next season, right? That's kind of the important one. And a lot of these guys who are giving up these charters are also potentially going to be open entries into that Daytona 500. It's going to be that much more difficult to get into the race. I say, as someone who likes to run the Daytona 500 as an open entrant, it's going to be rather annoying having to battle Ethan Stanley now on top of all the other guys, right? And this season had to battle Daniel Fulkingham, and it's going to change the complexion for sure. And I obviously mentioned Rob Mooney. I think Mark Rebelos is in a really good spot, but he retired early from this race, got caught up with Chad Frankenfield early on, and got the tally. We talked about trying to keep it clean, right? That's what it's going to take in order to earn one of these charters. You're going to have to be lucky that someone else gives one up, but you're also going to have to be lucky that you have to earn enough points in these races. And, that it's going to be tough. We've seen so many kind of those late field crashes take out some of these guys, give them damage. It'll be a fun story to follow, like you said, over the rest of the season.
A story that is developing, as you saw the intervals there on the screen. Trey Eidson has reeled in Ethan Stanley here, and we will see if that 27 car can indeed. Obviously, catching a guy is one thing, passing him is another, but almost got a huge run there out of 4 working that bottom. He's really running that diamond very well and getting that straight line on the exit, and that's allowing him to get to the throttle earlier, but he is giving up quite a bit of ground in the middle of the corner to achieve that.
I had to look. We've interviewed Trey Eidson a couple of times. I just wanted to make sure we hadn't interviewed him for a race win. He finished second at Atlanta, and then 4th at Texas, 3rd at Richmond. So Trey Eidson on these flat tracks, he's been very, very strong, right? But he is another driver that he started off the season, right? We talked about the Daytona 500 as an open driver, and he has worked his way into the chase. He's worked his way, into the charter. spot, and right now challenging for the race lead at a flat track where he ran very well at Richmond earlier in the season. Right now, working inside of Ethan Stanley. He's got the race lead at the line. And we didn't really talk about it, but this series does award a bonus point for leading a lap. That's been acquired by Ethan Stanley, Blake Reynolds, Trey Eidson. Scott Crump got a point for leading a lap, led a lap at the stage. So, these chase drivers that have been able to get up and lead a lap, that's definitely, impactful, especially considering guys like Matthew Weeks have not been able to get up to the front and lead a lap. And Eidson now loses the lead back to Ethan Stanley as they start to battle side by side. That's going to open the door for Blake Reynolds here shortly.
And Ethan Stanley definitely used some of what he learned from battling with Trey Eidson there and kind of turned the sword back on him, but this time Eidson able to kind of block him off there to get back in front. And like you say, Blake Reynolds is lurking there, and he's been having, he has shown he's willing to really drive it in deep on corner entry. This time he goes way upstairs. He's got to try to straight line that exit this time and try to get the run off the corner. But he's been throwing a lot of different lines at these guys in their mirror.
Look at what these guys are doing, man. They have different lanes. This is kind of looking like a homestead right now, almost. Right. They're going up and down, left, right, apron, wall. Like there's all kinds of lanes being chosen by these race leaders. They're doing a really good job making this an entertaining New Hampshire race. I can tell you, I was dreading it a little bit. These guys are finding a way to run different lines and get out from each other's wake and find runs, right? Look at Blake Reynolds use the apron to get a run on his teammate Ethan Stanley. Has to back out of it. As they get on corner exit of turn 4, now Stanley dives to the inside, try to take that away, but Blake Reynolds likes to run up next to the wall here and then diamond off this corner, get a straight line on exit of turn 2, get a big run down this back straightaway, and Blake Reynolds is going to jump inside of Ethan Stanley right here, try to pick up the second position. He will not get it clear now. But he'll take away the inside.
The line. Yeah. You have to feel Blake's got to really chuck it in here to start a slide job.
My goodness.
Yep. That was, he got clear by a mile. That was insane.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds has a lot of car in the tank here. You're able to do that, I think, running the outside, trying to diamond the corner. That's just him goofing around, it feels like.
Talked about guys, I don't want to direct the camera away from this battle, but I just have it on the corner of my eye at least. I will make a note for those watching. We talked about being able to work your way through the field after earlier trouble. Gerald Campbell is on the move. He's up to 16th. Just got around, I believe it was Ty McIntosh for that 16th spot. Yes, it was. So that's definitely one guy we might have to keep an eye on, as one of those guys that definitely had some early trouble, but has recovered, is putting together a decent showing.
You mentioned early trouble. The only reason he had trouble, he was trying to bypass guys inside the top 10 and got a little squirrely on corner exit. But I wonder if that he's still not running the same line, right? Aggressive, kind of like what we're seeing with Blake Reynolds. But I think what ended up happening for Gerald is he cooked over that right rear tire, got a little bit loose on it, and got around on him. Hopefully he's not making that same mistake where he's making passes. It feels good, but then he pays the price for it later in the run.
It seems like he's still working that bottom, but he has dialed in that corner entry, so it's not, he kind of got himself into trouble overdriving it. He's figured out the mark to make that inside lane work, and he just got around Johnny Thomas as well. So I believe that might be another spot for it.
It is, as Blake Reynolds goes to the race lead, and he did it like we saw by getting a really good run on exit of turn 4 and then diving deep into turn 1. And that's going to allow Blake Reynolds to take the lead back here on lap 97. I think he let Trey Eidson and Ethan Stanley have their fun, and now that 66 car is going to look to capitalize on this clean air and drive away a little bit. Battle back here for the 7th spot. Tate Lytle inside of Ethan Burrell. And Tate's going to use that same Blake Reynolds line, dive way down to the apron, slide up in front of Ethan Burrell, take over that 8th position, or 7th position. They're just in front of Paul Mikolajczyk, staring on. Gavin Hibbs kind of lurking in the background in that 95 car in 10th.
And we do
Ryan
have
Gable.
a little bit of a gaggle forming right here with Ryan Gable, Gavin Higgins, Michael Hosack, Garrison Hogan, and yes, Gerald Campbell still on. Oh, he locked him up. That's Higgins.
They stack up.
Let's open the door for Gerald Campbell.
Gerald just made up 3 spots. Gerald just made up 3 spots in one corner. What a move by Gerald Campbell.
My goodness.
This has been a legacy race for the former Belly Up Sports Cup Series champion, Gerald Campbell, 2-time former champion. But he's been talking about, I've been a little washed up. It's a long time, different car. He's less comfortable these days. But Gerald's always had the pace, and this has been a really vintage run for Gerald Campbell. He's all the way up into 12th and looking quite strong.
I try to get around Ryan Gable here.
Doesn't quite have the run, but yeah, Gerald is having a great race here tonight. Jared Rexing inside of Johnny Thomas in the background. That gaggle continues to fight and claw up front. It's Paul Mikulashik inside of Ethan Burrell for the 8th spot. Paul in that Channel 199 Toyota puts 3 of them in the top 8. Slide job on Ethan Burrell. Reynolds 1st, Stanley 3rd, Chin 6th. Now Mikulashik in 8th. Good night for Blake Reynolds' team. Garrison Hogan, the only car missing there. He is 15th. Kind of in that gaggle, 3 wide coming off turn 4.
Oh.
With Corey Abbott and Gavin Higgins just behind Gerald Campbell right here. And Hogan will clear Higgins. Abbott, Joe Rexing into the back of Corey Abbott, trying to get that 21 car to go underneath the 20. The 2 guys who duked it out for the ARCA Series championship this year, Gavin Higgins and Corey Abbott, duking it out on the racetrack here. Gerald Campbell has gotten around playoff driver Ryan Gable for the 11th spot. Corey Abbott does bypass Jared. Rexing kind of runs that inside line like alarmingly.
Yeah.
He's running it kind of like Gerald ran it before. Leaders have lapped past Rob Mooney, who is in 30th after the crash damage from before. Scott Crump is back here. I was wondering if, we saw Gerald Campbell kind of flying through the field. I was wondering if Scott Crump wouldn't start turning up the wick a little bit. He has really been quite patient back here in the field, but that's a good sign. If I'm not talking about Scott Crump making crazy passes, that's typically a good thing. I mean, Scott's got his head on straight. He knows there's still 45 laps left in this race, and if it does happen to stay green, he's going to be real strong towards the end of the event. Working on Johnny Thomas here. Battle for 18th. This is a good battle, but I do want to drag us up. Gerald Campbell's about to go around Ethan Burrell for 10th.
Now I'm curious here with, guys like Gerald Campbell. I don't know how many others may have done the same, but I know Gerald Campbell pitted under that lap 74 caution. So, yeah, we're looking at... So, it's only 7 laps difference, but obviously that's 7 laps fresher tires. The other guys are they going to be in the fuel window, though? I would assume so? I don't know.
When did we go green? So they should have enough fuel. We have about 80 some odd laps in the tank.
And the previous caution would have been around lap 70. So I think they're good as well.
It's close, but I think everybody's good to make it to the end on fuel.
Yeah. Yep. I would think. It might get sketchy if we have a green-white checker, but I think just it's the tire advantage, but I don't think we have to worry about fuel mileage race necessarily.
I do think if we got a green-white checkered, everybody would come down and get tires. So
Absolutely.
That would negate the whole fuel problem entirely there. So
for sure.
Michael Hosek outside of Ryan Borges. This is a battle for the 17th position, just behind Scott Crump, who's moved up into 16th. The 90 car continuing to climb forward after speeding on pit road after winning stage 1.
Boy, 3 wide. Yep, here it is. That's Corey Abbott, Garrison Hogan, and Ryan Gable. I thought Hogan was going to get into Ryan Gable there on corner entry. He did not, but it was, at least from my perspective, it looked very close. Not
Garrison
close now.
Oh, Brent Jones through the grass. Yeah, that car's not been handling quite nearly the same since he got caught up in the incident with Gilberto on the front straightaway. 5th place finisher at Atlanta goes down pit lane. Carlos Acosta now going a lap down to the leaders as Corey Abbott and Ryan Gable continue to fight just outside the top 10. This is a battle for the 13th position. Jared Rexing right behind, and then there's Scott Crump, and that's, I think, the car that probably can get through this group and acquire those precious points. Abbott clears Gable. Here comes Gerald Campbell. The march continues. He's around Gavin Hibbs, trying to get after Paul Mikolajczyk as well.
And you have to believe he's got to really throw it to the inside here to try and complete this pass on Gavin Hibbs.
He did it. He went real deep in there. Hibbs loose, off corner exit. Was not able to get that car to the gas pedal. Now Gerald Campbell into 9th. The caution flag is out.
And it is Corey Abbott and Jared Rexing that have come together on the front stretch.
Damage. Looks a lot like that Rabilis Chad incident from earlier.
It does. The move from the 71 up the track is a little more drastic than we saw last time. I think we might have to get a more... Yeah.
And Rexing's doing this trying to clear Ryan Gable. I don't think he's necessarily trying to get into the 21. He's trying to get up the track and get in front of the 0-1 and misjudges it. Corey Abbott's going to get a little left rear damage in the inside wall.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what happened there. We'll see what the ruling is here. I feel like that's probably more on the 71, but we will see how race control rules it. I think you're right, though. I think this is going to be an opportunity for everybody to put on 4 Mr. Feel Goods.
Yep. I think Blake Reynolds, it doesn't seem to be the fastest car on the short run. And I feel like we're going to have quite a few short runs to close this race out. So everybody coming down, and I think this pit stop is going to be awfully important. You cannot speed on pit road this time. Really, Scott Crump shouldn't have sped on pit road last time, but this time it would be especially egregious because that'll end your race real quick. I do want to note the way we have the camera set up pointed towards turn 1, we have been shoving it in Daniel Folkengham's face. Jonathan Cutlip off pit road first with 2 tires. Garrison Hogan 2 tires. Yep, he left the car there, but we've been showing it every time those guys go into turn 2. And Jared Rexing does indeed get the call for the caution.
Yeah, all you need is the one smart aleck every time we go by shouting, "You can't park there!" I know. Thanks.
So this is a very intriguing strategy call from Jonathan Cutlip and Garrison Hogan. 34 laps remain in the event. A lot of time for two tires to have to work. Those guys probably need a rash of yellow flags in order to make this pay off. Jonathan Cutlip hasn't won a race this season. He's been in the top 5 really consistently, but has not been able to chalk up a race win, and so it would be pretty neat to see him find one. Go to look. Jonathan Cutlip has 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s this season in our 14 races or so, and that's still, or 13 races, but that's still, one of those. I was expecting Jonathan Cutlip to have won a race by this point. 2 tires for the front row, Blake Reynolds and Ethan Burrell. I think Burrell might have made a call as well. He jumped up a bunch of spots. Green flag back out for Jonathan Cutlip. Big jump for the 5 car. We are racing once again. With so few laps to go, the intensity is sure to pick up. Mikolajczyk to the apron. Stanley working the apron 2 and 3 wide all the way through the field. Cutlip, Hogan out to the lead. Track position clearly important. And they're wrecking. I heard smoke. Michael Hosak is around. I heard tires squealing, rather, but Michael Hosak is around. Let's see what the cause of that was. Looks like this car got in way too deep.
Yep. And he's got to back it up the hill.
Nobody hit him.
A pretty good job of missing him, yeah.
That'll work. One of those things where he'll get the quote tally, but there's no contact, so it won't necessarily go on your record. Could have definitely happened, but no one got into him. And that's just, I think, what Jonathan Cutlip needed. I think Jonathan Cutlip doesn't need more than a 5-lap run at any point right here if he wants to win this race. With 32 laps to go, I mean, that's going to be a lot of yellow flags, and I am certainly hoping that we don't get that for our sake, but for Jonathan Cutlip's sake, it's what he needs.
I don't know if my microphone picked it up or not. I don't think so, but apparently I am in a severe thunderstorm warning. About the only weather in all of western North Carolina happens to be passing just south of me. I should be good, but it's got my attention, to say the least.
I can give you my good luck for Monday night. Monday night, I had a storm bearing down on me as we went off the air, and I hit stop streaming. The power went off. Perfect timing.
It is the definition of a summer pop-up thunderstorm. It looks nasty on the radar, but it's a good bit south of me.
We did not catch any thunder. Mostly the lightning is coming from this race so far tonight. 1 to green for Jonathan Cutlip as this field doubles up once again. All cars, 31 cars on the lead lap, by the way. That is a rather significant number where, a last lap crash of some sort could really alter the chase picture. So we're going to need to be on the lookout for that, as a lot of guys have been able to stay in this race with so many caution flags despite damage, and are maybe able to pick up some spots late in the event. 2 tires for Jonathan Cutlip and Garrison Hogan on the front row. Blake Reynolds charging from 3rd with 4 fresh tires. Let's see if that 66 car can get around those 2 and get back to the race lead. Pace car is off, coming to 30 to go. Cutlip gets another really good restart. He leaves those 2 Channel 199 cars behind. Josh Chin rockets to the inside. He's looking 3 wide. He's looking 4 wide. 4 wide and 2 between Eidson, Chin, and Stanley. Weeks backs out of it. They're 3 wide off 2.
Ooh. Almost some contact there between Eidson and Chin. There may have been contact.
Stanley jumps to the inside of Ethan Burrell. Unable to make a move there. Stanley still stuck behind that 37. They'll be side by side off 2. Chin side by side with Weeks. It's 2 and 3 wide all the way back. Cutlip leads, Hogan second. Then Reynolds sits third, Stanley fourth, and he's going to get Ethan Burrell coming off 2 here, I think. Stanley clears Burrell. Stanley up to the top of the racetrack, trying to find a way to get around Blake Reynolds as well as he clears past Burrell. Eidson working past Burrell as well. At 27 and 91, we're really quick on the short run. Last couple times out. Let's see if they can't make a move on Blake Reynolds. Here comes Ethan Stanley to the inside of the 66.
All the way to the bottom.
Oh, little contact.
Heated though, yeah.
That's a teammate. Eidson clears Burrell on the entry of turn 1, washes up the racetrack. He'll lose that spot back. And now Stanley's outside of Reynolds. But Reynolds is going to have a chance to dive bomb his teammate Hogan. The channel 199 guys are 3 wide for second.
Jared Rexing was just in the grass and somehow held on to it.
The intensity has for sure picked up with 25 laps to go. Stanley clears Reynolds. Ethan Stanley to the inside of Hogan. He will not get it done yet. Good drive off for the 91 car. Last week's winner, Ethan Stanley, working towards second. Oh, up into Garrison Hogan. I'll tell you, though, we've seen that Stanley car get up in front of Blake Reynolds and drive away a little bit. As he does, Reynolds reels him back in right about the remaining laps. As here goes Stanley. Clears Hogan. Hogan works back to the inside, but Stanley now has that kind of preferred defensive line. But we've seen Blake Reynolds be able to reel Ethan Stanley in after 20 or so laps. That's exactly how many are to go. Now Ethan Stanley's got to run 0.6 of a second up to catch Jonathan Cutlip, who has driven away on those 2 right side tires. The field is kind of spread out more than I thought it would. But Jonathan Cutlip...
Scott Krupp and Justin Vandermeer almost came together.
It's a battle for the 14th position right now. Oh, Rexing and Higgins into each other. They hang on to it. Borges looking to the outside. Rexing still trying to make that deep inside lane work. Crump clears Vandermarl. Just in front of this battle between Higgins and Rexing. Then you have Borges, Ty McIntosh, and Johnny Thomas. Rexing just locked up the left front, getting into turn 3 underneath Gavin Higgins. He will clear. Blake Reynolds gets around Garrison Hogan. Up front is Ethan Burrell looking at Josh Chin.
The elbows are out at this point. You're
Got
seeing a lot more of that inside guy trying to work the outside guy up the hill, take away some of that defense.
Scott Crump got around Ryan Gable. Tate Lytle underneath Matthew Weeks. A lot of battles. Everybody's side by side from about 4th on back. Chin cleared Burrell, leaving Burrell in the hands of Eidson. That's where Matthew Weeks and Tate Lytle are now. Ethan Stanley has driven up to the back bumper of Jonathan Cutlip. A battle for the lead is brewing. And Blake Reynolds has followed Ethan Stanley right up to Jonathan Cutlip. On board with Ethan Stanley as he dives into turn 1. Bull sends to the apron. Lets that 91 car rotate through the center of the corner. Cutlip will fight against Ethan Stanley on corner exit.
If they stay side by side, that's got to allow Blake Reynolds to close this gap.
I don't know how long they're going to be side by side. That 91 car is really strong in this early part of the run. He's got the lead from Hutlip here at the line. It is a lead change for Ethan Stanley. And now a deep send into turn 1 for that 91. Stanley has the race lead for now. 2 tires, I think, worked in a very short-term capacity for Jonathan Cutlip, but it just wasn't going to be enough if the caution didn't wave a number of times between that restart and the end of the race. And unfortunately, he has lost the lead to Ethan Stanley, and that'll likely wrap up his opportunity to win this thing. Big battle right here. Gerald Campbell, Scott Crump banging off each other. This is a battle for the 12th spot. Crump trying to recover from a speeding penalty. Campbell trying to recover from a slide and a self-spin. These guys are not giving each other room.
No, a lot of aggressive racing right in this gaggle of cars here. And you see Jared Rexing catching up to Crump and Campbell, but he also has Ryan Gable just behind him.
Cameron Rich would call this
crowding a little bit there.
Cameron Rich would call this argy-bargy between Scott Crump and Gerald Campbell right here. They are beating and banging every straightaway. They run side by side.
There's those elbows I was talking about. Let's go open the door for Rexing. Rexing to the bottom.
3 wide off 2. Crump covers off Jared Rexing. Scott, I think, got in a little deep. Was quite fortunate not to just wipe out Gerald Campbell right there. Now he's going to have to play some defense with Rexing on his back bumper. Gable just behind Rexing. Ty McIntosh in behind him. All this just outside the top 10. Gavin His, that final car in the top 10. Everybody's chasing Ethan Stanley. Jonathan Cutlip has held serve behind Stanley. It's Blake Reynolds who's pressuring Cutlip right now for 3rd. McIntosh inside of Gable. That's a battle for 14th. Rather 15th. And that 10 car has had some struggles this season, but looking pretty good right now. Blake Reynolds challenging for 2nd up front. Not going to get it done. And Jonathan Cutlip holds Reynolds off. Jonathan Cutlip's Ethan Stanley's best friend right now. The longer he can hold that 66 car back, the more tire he can force Blake Reynolds to use, the better it'll be for Ethan Stanley up in front.
I mean, you say that, but he's not really getting away from either of them. He might be... I don't know if he's saving a little bit or if he used up too much to get to the lead. We'll see over these final 12 laps.
Blake Reynolds clears Jonathan Cutlip now into 2nd. He's making it dramatic as Blake Reynolds. 3 wins on the season. Did not capture last week, though. He was bested by that car leading the race, Ethan Stanley. This is the first 2 that crossed the line. First 2 last week. Tail underneath and around Ethan Burrell. They are just in front of Trey Eidson. Lido clears for 6th. Hogan and Shin have held on inside the top 5 after that late race pit stop. And Blake Reynolds is closing in on Ethan Stanley here. It's about a half a tenth a lap, which will put him there 6 to go.
And you might remember better than me, David, but we came here in 25A. RC Anderson, I mentioned, won that race, but Blake Reynolds led about half the laps in that race, and I seem to recall there being a little bit of argy-bargy near the end of that one that, Blake Reynolds ended up finishing 27th. I can't remember exactly how it played out, but
I believe the car leading the race was part of the problem.
That was part of that. That's what I thought I remembered, but it was okay.
Gerald Campbell inside of Paul Mikulajczyk as that battle for the lead starts to heat up. but it's still 2/10. If it gets closer, we'll jump to it. For now, this is the best battle on the racetrack. Scott Crump working to the inside of Gerald Campbell, trying to take advantage of Campbell's bobble on turn 2. Crump washes up into Gerald Campbell again. Those two have not stopped. Rexing hard into the side of Scott Crump, right in front of Ty McIntosh. Nowhere for him or Rexing to go. Oh, McIntosh gets a piece of Crump. And the caution is out. Oh. I think Crump saved it without actually getting into the wall.
This is going to be a very interesting one.
They're beating and banging, but couldn't tell if Ty was thinking he was clear to get in there and make it 3 wide or not.
Yeah.
He might have misjudged it, might have tried to send it 3 wide and get underneath Scott and not, but look at the control there. Scott never even hits the wall. This will make things quite interesting.
Yes,
it didn't seem like 2 tires was a bad call in a short run. So I think 2 tires is probably the call you want to make here. But do you stay out? Because it's real possible we just make it to turn 1 4 times and never get any further. Everybody looks like heading to pit. Oh no! Yeah, Hogan, Chin, Lytle, Eidson. Tons of cars stay on the racetrack. That changes everything. That's what I was just thinking. Like you don't need tires at all. You just stay on the racetrack and hope for the best because the caution is probably going to wave over and over. A lot of questionable calls here. I can't believe Reynolds did exactly what Stanley did. If I was second, I'd probably just do whatever the opposite of the race leader was and hope for the best. Those guys take 2 tires, but I mean, they're going to restart 12th and like 12th on back. It's like 13 cars stay on the racetrack, so those guys are going to start 14th and 15th. And you can make up some ground on the apron, but guys are using the apron. So it won't be wide open. It'll be blocked. They'll also probably cause the caution that comes out to stop things up as well because they'll be really aggressive. But Tom McIntosh does get called for the tally, and as his car owner, I can say that, yeah, that was probably on Ty. Yeah. Hate to say it, but yeah, he got into him. No harm, no foul. Scott didn't hit anything. So Garrison Hogan is now the race leader. Josh Chin runs in second. Tate Lytle third. Trey Eidson fourth. Matthew Weeks fifth. Ethan Burrell is sixth. Gavin Hibbs seventh. Paul Mikolajczyk eighth. Gerald Campbell ninth. Ty McIntosh will restart 10th. The cars that have at least 2 right side tires will restart 14th on back. That being Blake Reynolds, Ethan Stanley, Ryan Gable, Jared Rexing, Ryan Borges, Jonathan Cutlip, Scott Crump.
That's a lot of cars to pass. I know we've talked about all the racing lanes here, but we'll see.
It's a lot of cars to pass without wrecking anybody either, or getting damage yourself. In 5 laps. It's a Herculean task. Pace car's off. Green flag is out for Garrison Hogan. He gets going. Josh Chin's going to be right there to challenge him. This is going to be a big-time gaggle going into turn 1. Mooney. Oh, Mooney got underneath. Vandermeer. Yep. They wreck big. It's Stanley's involved. It's going to include Justin Vandermeer. And they're still wrecking off turn 2.
Still wrecking. What is happening? Why are we wrecking here?
Yeah, that went about as well as we expected.
Yeah, there's a completely... We'll watch the first one. And this is... Okay, just...
This is I mean, the restart's going, but yeah, they're bouncing off each other before they even got to turn 1.
Yeah.
And Rob's underneath the 54, but I don't know if that was the Yeah, see, Stanley gets into Rob, who gets into Vandermeer, who gets into Rexing.
Shoved by Borges, and now Vandermeer's trying to save it. He's got to get...
And he's not... Yeah, and he's going to get another shot from Stanley. I don't envy race control Sam Boutwell on this one. I'll tell you that.
Now after that's over,
Yeah,
then
there was
go
definitely more
to
incidents.
I guess the 84. I don't think it starts with him, but it starts in his vicinity. Yeah, I guess actually, or the 20 might be a better one. Yeah, yeah. So rewind. So
Yeah,
basically,
what is all this?
so they were
Okay.
stacking up while dodging the wreck.
Yeah. Okay. So this is
Let's go to a TV angle so we can actually see more than 3 cars here.
Yeah.
There we go. So basically, they're gonna stack up while checking up / navigating around the initial wreck. And of course, again, we're still dealing with the mix of old tires, new tires. Everybody's got to come to kind of meet in the middle here, while also kind of getting stacked up behind Rob Mooney. That's going to lead.
There's the contact that kicks this off, and I think Crump even gets loose before.
Yeah, and then
But I don't
Higgins
think
gets
that-
stacked in the rear while also getting squeezed by Gable. And that's got to turn Crump into Hosack, who then has no steering because I'm pretty sure it tagged. I'm pretty sure it broke both front wheels. Also, the track is blocked at this point.
Yeah, and then I want to say Harrison or Gable gets another piece of this. Yeah, Hosack comes off the wall and gets Harrison. My. This race will now be extended for a green-white checkered finish. I'll tell you, Zach, I think we're going to burn through all 3 of those.
We
On board.
sure might.
On board with Carlos Acosta. There's the first crash. Here's the second crash. I think Carlos is going to sneak through on the bottom.
Let's get to live action here pretty quick.
Yep. So there's that incident, and now we're going green. Garrison Hogan, control of this race still. Josh Chin second, Tate Lytle third. Green flag back out. Hogan with a really good jump this time. 2 laps of racing to go. Hogan, Chin, you can see him fanning out 2 and 3 wide behind. I'm just waiting for it. And there it goes. Caution is out. It looked like Mooney got spun. No, maybe not.
He didn't get spun, but the contact started with, I believe it was either Scott Crump or Ethan Burrell. I can't tell the white, red, and blue egg cars apart. I'm just gonna be super real with you.
It's worth noting that Rob tried to back up the corner a little bit, and you can't do that when you're in the middle of the pack. Also, Ethan Burrell lagged out of the event. He is back in 2 laps down in 29th.
Well, that'll make it easier for me to tell those 2 cars apart. So yeah, that set off a couple of cars spinning into the outside wall. And we will go for attempt number 2.
Yeah, I asked this earlier, but does the track have lights?
Nope.
It does
Hey,
I
not.
don't believe it does.
Get a little dark for my old eyes.
No, it's fine. It's 5:20. It's just iRacing sucks with late afternoon lighting, but we're not close to dark yet. It's 5:22 in August. We're good.
It's not like the truck race at Talladega.
We can't see the pace car light yet.
Yeah.
All this craziness has moved Blake Reynolds up into 7th. He doesn't have very much time to make up positions, but this is the first restart where he will have been on the inside, where you could maybe take somebody 3 wide going into turn 1 that is on older tires and maybe move up a lane or 2. So this might be the first restart that Blake Reynolds is able to make up some true ground. He's really just kind of bypassed the 2 wrecks thus far. But yeah, you look back and, I mentioned earlier there were 34 or some odd cars in the lead lap. Justin Vandermarl is on pit road with heavy damage from the first track. Michael Hosack's disconnected from the session. Nigel Stock's got big damage. Trey Holmes now has big damage all the way back. Lots of cars involved. Ethan Burrell obviously disconnected, went a couple of laps down. The attrition rate has spiked, and it's going to really change the running order at the end of this race, especially because it isn't quite the same as Scott Crump will get the tally call here. And I've seen more action from Sam Boutwell disabling chats tonight than in quite some time,
would-
which just tells me this is a typical New Hampshire race, I'll tell you.
I would like to see more of it, to be honest, across the board here in Elite. It's definitely been warranted, and probably a couple more could have received it along the way. If I'm being entirely candid, it's been a very, very chatty race and a lot of unnecessary things being said about some obviously very frustrating racing.
Garrison Hogan is the one car probably not on the mic right now, looking to get 2 more cautions and close this thing out. I think that's what's going to happen here. Garrison Hogan going to try to stay ahead of Josh Chin, whose car is disconnecting. Green flag is back out. Eidson with a good start. Reynolds did not get a big jump. Lytle jumps to the outside of Josh Chin. That's the first time we've seen that move. Here comes Blake Reynolds, and there's the caution. Unsurprisingly, the yellow is quickly back out, and this will be the final attempt. Garrison Hogan putting himself in a really good spot. Rob Mooney is now got a meatball, and it looks like he and Ryan Gable come together.
I think the tough part on that one is I think Ryan realized the situation, knew Rob was going to back up, and tried to shoot the gap, and I guess it wasn't there. It looked like it was there, and then it wasn't. I don't know if that was a netcode situation or just a slight miscalculation. I'm sure the tally will go on Ryan Gable all the same. He has apologized for the contact, but that's I can't really fault him for his decision making there. I feel like he was trying to avoid contact and ended up making contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Moon's, he's trying to get to the end of the race. It's one of those where, as the team owner, I probably would have advised him to come to pit road after and maybe after that first one where he kind of got run over a little bit.
Coming to pit road this time.
He's coming down now. The car's broken, but get behind it and pick up the spots on the back end. Don't just try to hold people off because,
yeah,
I think you mentioned it at Richmond a little bit ago. You're Rob Mooney. You're a rookie in the series. It's tough, and that puts Ryan Gable in a tough spot. What's Ryan supposed to do right there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And to his credit, he took accountability for it. But I saw what he was trying to do there, and I think if I were in his shoes, I would have been doing the same thing, and it just didn't work out.
Right. Tough break. It's been a long race. It's been a crazy race. We are guaranteed to end it with the next flag after the green flag drops on the speedway. Ethan Burrell gets another lucky dog. I believe that puts him back on the lead lap. It might put him 1 lap down, trying to recover from a connection issue. Back through the top 10, Gerald Campbell's had a really good day. Nice recovery drive for him. Dodged the chaos here late. Up front, it is Garrison Hogan. Trey Eidson will restart alongside him, but those Channel 199 cars are now lined up 1-2 on the bottom of the racetrack. Then you have Blake Reynolds there in 6th. He's got 4 fresh tires, maybe just 2 right side tires, but still the freshest tires on the racetrack there in that 6th position. It'll be all up to him, I think, to try and go out here and take it from his teammates. But right now, Garrison Hogan trying to change the course of the season with a well-timed strategy call and pick up this race win. And knowing how this racetrack races, knowing how this race has unfolded so far, I wouldn't expect that we make it out of turn 2 green flag racing. So Garrison Hogan needs to not wipe it out here on the start, and he should come away a race winner. Into the restart zone for the final time. Green flag is out. Hogan gets going. Chin with a strong start to get alongside Eidson. That'll put Hogan in a really good spot entering turn 1, but Eidson gets to the outside of Hogan. They're side by side. Hogan clears Eidson now. Now you look for the caution flag as Hogan clears up to the outside. Trey Eidson will have a run at him here going into turn 3. Hogan drops the block, but Eidson drops to the apron. Looking inside, it'll be Hogan off turn 4. Eidson blinks out. Is the 27 gone? I don't know. He's back. White flag. No caution. We're still racing.
Here comes Josh Chin.
Chin looking, and it's going to be not enough. Lytle up way in the outside lane. That's going to bottle up Blake Reynolds. They're 3 wide. Jonathan Cutlip rolls through. He's looking for a podium. It's Eidson and Hogan looking for the win. Eidson inside of Hogan. Cutlip up to 3rd. They rock. Gavin Hibbs is around. Off turn 4, it'll be Garrison Hogan who makes the strategy call and holds him off. Blake Reynolds wrecks Cutlip at the line. It'll be Hogan, Eidson, Reynolds third. Cutlip winds up 5th, but backwards in smoke and fire. They crash to the line. It is Hogan, Eidson, Reynolds, the top 3. A wild finish at New Hampshire. We did get both laps in. I do want to note that.
Yeah.
I wasn't convinced of it, but we did get both laps in. Ethan Stanley with a very strong recovery drive there in the closing circuits. Came all the way back from getting wrecked in that very first incident. First green, white checkered to finish 8th. And Ty McIntosh picks up his first top 10 of the season. New Hampshire, man. Oof. I tell you, I'm surprised, but I'm not.
A lot to unpack from that one. A lot of tempers, a lot of drama, a lot of last lap contact, a lot of championship implications, honestly. I mean, Gavin Hibbs, just kind of got drove through, to be entirely honest, and that's got to hurt what would be a decent night for him.
Dave, can we go back and take a look at a couple of replays on the last lap wreck there while we... Hibbs getting wrecked and then the crash coming to the line. Let's drop one replay in here. Maybe we can go, TV view. And I think this is going to be...
Gerald Campbell just misses the corner and tags, which is something, I mean, we talked about what great night he was having, but that's something, as a non-chase guy, you simply cannot do on the last lap to a chase guy, period, full stop. And then here we have this on the coming through the checkered between some of our top 5 guys. Cutlip gets down there.
Reynolds crosses him over, and then I think gets loose and comes up and hooks Cutlip, but right there, the car hooks back to the right, catches Cutlip in the left rear, and luckily for John and Chin, it only cost them 1 or 2 spots there, but...
And there was another wreck even behind that as well, which was...
I'll go ahead and bring up and begin talking to Blake Reynolds while we go and find the wreck here.
Gerald is arguing the contact from the 30 is what sent him spearing off into turn 3.
I didn't see any more wreck with Borges. We'll let Dave kind of find it while we talk to...
We're talking about this.
Oh, okay.
Going into 3.
One more look before we do talk to Blake Reynolds here. Oh, yeah, right there. A little bit of contact.
Yes.
That does send Gerald.
Eh.
Blake Reynolds, 3rd place today. Had a pretty good car. Seemed like you were up front all night long. Made a bit of a strategy call there late. Didn't seem like it worked out. You got it back up to 3rd, but tell me what could have been tonight, buddy.
I think if I had gotten more green flag laps there right at the end, I probably could have had a chance of the win. It kind of played out for me well with the green white checkers and just, people, getting bad restarts and stuff like that. I just kept gaining a row every time. But, I thought more people would pit just because I think caution came out with like 10 to go or something. I was like, I think more people might stay out here. And the track, it becomes trash over yellow because we're picking up the rubber. So all their tires are going to pick up all that rubber and be, dirty. And I don't think a lot of guys know you have to scrub to get that rubber off. So, yeah, that was the plan. I took 2 tires. Me and Stanley. Stanley got wrecked by somebody. I don't even know. You guys probably know. That was unfortunate. Me and him had an awesome race up front there the whole time, and then Garrison and John made a good pit call about halfway there. Took 2, got track position. They were able to hold it, and Garrison obviously with the win. Awesome win for Garrison. Yeah, I probably could have stayed out, won the race, but I just thought I would take tires and make a charge, and hopefully not that many people would have stayed out.
Obviously, I think maybe the ratio of staying out versus putting on tires may have caught you by surprise. But do you think if we hadn't gotten a couple of those cautions, do you think the cautions helped you in being able to restart, or do you think you needed the laps to 5 laps there, 4 laps there, whatever it was, to pick some guys off?
I think I needed more laps. Like, we went green with 5 to go, right? So
yeah.
I think I probably, that first restart with 5 to go, I rolled the outside, gained like 3 rows to like 8th or something. If I had that off of turn 2, I probably could have gained a spot every corner after that, and probably could have gotten up to the lead. It would have been like white flag, and I would have had to not be impeded at all. Like that last restart, Tate didn't do anything wrong. He did a perfect job defending me, but I was boxed in between him and John Cutlip and I think it was Weeks, so it just couldn't do anything. And I managed to get the third because some chaos off the corner. And I'll apologize to John Cutlip. I already did in VC. I just tapped him. We were over lap 3. I don't think I got the call, or at least the VC was too loud. We were freaking out all night in the racecraft VC. So, very entertaining race. But I think third was probably the best I could do, to be honest.
And Blake, with Falkingham falling out really early in this one, that really puts you in a prime spot to go 3 for 3 in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. If you're not the points leader, I'd be shocked at this point. So, how do you maintain that going forward with Talladega next week and then some of those 1.5-mile tracks coming up?
Well, I'm thankful that, Dan had an ECR motor tonight. It just blew up on him. He didn't even double downshift. He told me that, I got a tally. Yeah, he told me that he just downshifted the third, but, he was super aggressive. I watched his qualifying lap, and, the moment he lifts off the throttle, he's in third gear. I'm like, oh, that is so aggressive. But, yeah, I'm thankful. He's my buddy, but, if I want to be champion, I got to be realistic. I gotta want the points lead. And unfortunately, my other teammate, Stanley, he got in that junk on the restart, and I think he was second or leading the points or something like that. I was third, I think. So if I'm not the points leader, I know I'm up there and I have an excellent shot. But you guys probably have seen my plate stats here in this league. They are not good. Not very good at all. So I'm going to hope for some stage points and a decent finish at Talladega next week.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this podium finish tonight?
That'd be Channel 199 Sim Racing, Racecraft Academy, Machine Works, and you guys for putting this on, the league and all that. And shout out Channel 199 again and Dead Zone. I made the Coke series this week. I'm back in it, and I'm ready to rip on that. So shout out to them for the extra support there. And I'll go to Talladega next week and hope to have a good run.
Well, congrats on that, Blake, and congrats on the run tonight. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Talladega next week.
Thank y'all.
Blake Reynolds finishes third. We'll jump to Trey Eidson, the second place finisher. And Trey, I think this is the third time we've talked to you in a couple of weeks. Came close. You got up to the lead a little bit tonight. Had a really good showing, but came up one spot short. Take me through your night.
Yeah, I hate to be disappointed with second because I kind of ran there most of the, or not there most of the race, but I feel like I was in the top 5 most of the race. And like you said, led. Part of me thinks Blake was just toying with everybody. Like it almost felt like an SRX race where in real life where the leader was like get the lead, and then they were told, "Oh, don't get that big of a lead." So Blake would kind of like stay with us to make a race out of it. At least that's how it felt. I feel like he could have probably drove off into the sunset if he wanted, but it was cool to lead. I won the truck race here a few weeks back and knew, I should be competitive tonight. But just I needed long runs because the apron and the bottom groove kind of started working versus just having to commit to the middle of the traditional New Hampshire groove. But it seemed like the first or second run, we got 20 or 30 laps, I think, and I was running like dang near hitting the pit wall off of turn 4 and was just getting crazy drive off. So I think the track might have changed right there at the end. I don't know if it just cooled off or we got late in the day, but I didn't have as much pace. And then the next last stop, I went from like second to 7th or 8th, and just in traffic, didn't really get a lot of laps. It's just tough to get through there. I couldn't believe so many people pitted right there, and with when the top 4 peeled off, as soon as the caution came out, I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm pitting." So I honestly didn't think anyone would pit. So got to 4th on that, and then just time restarts with cautions, and got to 2nd. Had a decent restart and maybe a one shot at Garrison on the bottom groove, but just too tight to really roll the center and make anything happen. So we will take a P2 absolutely with the next gen. I think I've mentioned I don't have a lot of experience in this car, even though it's been out forever. It's just not something I have ever driven. So make the chase, and 7th at Watkins Glen, 2nd tonight. So we'll just keep plugging along and see where the points fall.
Well, yeah, we touched on a little bit in the broadcast tonight, kind of your arc of this season, showing up as an open guy, and now you've really gotten hot here at the end of the season. I believe it's now 7 top 10s in your last 8 or something like that. We've spoken to you 3 of the last 5 races, a couple of runner-up finishes here. You're knocking on the door of that first win, Trey. You look at these races coming up to wrap up the season. Is there one you might have circled on the calendar where that could happen?
I would need to look at it to give you an honest answer. I don't even know where we go next week.
Talladega.
Talladega.
Okay, that don't count.
Talladega, Kansas, North Wilkesboro, Homestead. There you go.
Okay. North Wilkesboro, absolutely not. For some reason, I'm terrible there. Kansas, I don't know. You never know with these tracks. I finished decent at the new Atlanta, so I would assume some of that can come into play at Talladega. Kansas, I think we'll need green flag laps for it to matter. The 1.5 miles, I think I still struggle a little bit with pace in this car. But if we get green flag laps, I think I can, maybe be good on the long run. So we'll see. I still kind of don't know what I'm doing at certain moments with this thing. I overdrive it. I lock the brakes up, as you saw probably at some point tonight. But like I said, all we can do is keep racing. Like tonight, I thought Daniel was going to dominate. It's his home track. He made a mistake. So you never really know. You just keep logging laps and try not to make mistakes with speeding on pit road or driver errors on the track. And you just put yourself, I've just been trying to put myself in that top 5, top 10 and just see kind of what happens at the end of these things, kind of like tonight. So the way the season started, I'm thrilled to even be talking to you guys because I think I've said it before. I was literally like 1 DNQ from telling Seth that I'm done for the season. We'll try again in 2026B, and now here we are in the chase. So just keep logging laps, getting used to this car, and we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. And who do you have to thank on another P3 or another P2 tonight?
Yeah, Seth and everybody at Shift. I think he was missed. A few drivers were missing tonight, but I didn't really get to work with my teammates. I think they were caught up in some stuff early on. So AB Quality, got to thank them as always. They're on all the truck, the Grand National car, and the Cup car, and we're getting a lot of coverage for them. So I think they're going to come back next season. Don't know if it'll be my car or a teammate's car, but we appreciate their team support. And thank you guys for broadcasting our races and all the sponsors of the league and all the admins that keep the thing going.
Well, thank you, Trey. Congrats on P2, and we'll see you next week at Talladega.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Now let's talk to race winner Garrison Hogan. And Garrison, first of all, congratulations on the win. It's been a little bit since we talked to you in Victory Lane, though. We've certainly talked to you on the podium several times over the past, but talk to us about that strategy call that got you the lead and ultimately the win.
Yeah, it was not anything too strategic. I pretty much just struggle at this track, honestly, and I've never really had a knack for running it and being very fast. I mean, I can be consistent on the long run, and that's about it. But that two-tire strategy just came down to me just honestly being fed up of being in traffic. So I was not wanting to be in 15th anymore. It was so much going on, and I was doing things like having to move people out of the way a little bit to kind of make up track position and things like that. So I didn't even want to go that route anymore. I just wanted clean air.
And David touched on it a little bit. Definitely lots of good runs, and we've spoken to you a few times this season. But if I'm looking at correctly, this is your first win since 24A at Chicagoland. So snapping a long drought here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. How does it feel to get back to victory lane?
It's almost bittersweet for me still. I'm kind of still bummed out about how the qualifying series stuff ended and just kind of going through those emotions and not trying to sit in it too long. But at the same time, I mean, it's fresh. So at the end of the day, I still enjoy winning in this league, and it's hard, right? The competition in here is very tough. I mean, you got a guy like Blake who just made the Coke Series, like those guys are really good to beat out on the track and on strategy. So to get a win tonight at a track that, I'm not really good at, I'm satisfied.
And Garrison, obviously, you were kind of at the back half of the chase grid after last week at Watkins Glen, but a win is really going to give you a chance when it comes to the chase. So, how does this impact your strategy at Talladega next week?
It's not the playoff situation that it was in the past. And I mean, I grew up watching NASCAR for such a long time, right? The chase is, night and day difference with how you're racing and how you look at points. So it doesn't change anything for me. I'm just going to go out and try to do my best to win the race, right? Like at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. And we're competing for that championship here in a few weeks. So we have to do the best that we can to make up ground on anybody at any given time. You can't let up. You can't, give somebody a break just because they're your friend or whatever. So I'm here to win this, and hopefully I can compete with Dan and Blake and some of the other favorites. I think I can. I think I belong there.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this win tonight, Garrison?
Shout out to the guys that have been supporting me for the last couple of years. Track Racer, Channel 199, Sim Racing, Blake and them for having my back and continuing to support me no matter what. And, I really appreciate that. Racecraft Academy as well. JD Designs, which is Jonathan Cutloat's painting company that he runs technically. He does a great job at painting such beautiful, I mean, I cannot emphasize that enough, beautiful paint schemes. So I love my car and how it looks on the track, and I'm sure other people do too.
Well, congratulations on the win tonight, Garrison, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week at Talladega.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Garrison Hogan, race winner for the Magic Mile 150. And that'll about wrap it up for us, Zach. Any final thoughts after New Hampshire?
I don't know if we have the ability to show the updated point standings or... All right, well, let's pull those up because you were absolutely right, David, with the issues for Daniel Falkingham here this evening. We do have a new points leader. It is Blake Reynolds by 7 markers ahead of Ethan Stanley. Daniel Falkingham falling back to third, 24 points back. So a huge hit for him tonight. And going into Talladega, of course, we could see this completely shuffled again. But right now, Blake Reynolds and Ethan Stanley have a little bit of a cushion to work with going into what will certainly be another dramatic race next week at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Hoping to be on the track for that one. So I might not be here next week, but it'll be a thrilling points battle for sure, as Falkingham's going to have to catch back up. And obviously with Talladega, a little bit of a wild card next week. That might not be such a guarantee to happen exactly next week. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday, and we'll see you guys next week.